Unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know that, well, there's a British touring car game coming out in 2022, made by Motorsport Games. This is a relatively new developer who create NASCAR Heat and other games such as now Kartcraft, and they're also partnered with rFactor 2, which we'll talk about a bit later. But if there's anyone that works for Motorsport Games or has contact with that developer, please listen or watch this video and take everything into account, what we're saying, because it's a pretty interesting one. So I went onto the BTCC Reddit and I basically asked a simple question: what would you like to see? And well, I got plenty of comments, around 30 comments from British touring car community, and well, these are some pretty good points that they've made. So the first one is one that I'm pretty vocal about right now, and it comes in from Marcus H26051, and he's not the only one that's mentioned this, but you get the idea. He said definitely the support series. If your career had the option of starting in minis or one of the support series, it would be great. Something akin to the old Toka race driver games. And well, my point is that the British touring cars wouldn't be the British touring cars without the support categories. It's like supercars, for instance. Yeah, you're there for the main show, but at the end of the day, it is a whole day out, and you know, you watch the 7 hours of British touring cars on the Sunday, and you know, you're glued to the TV screen, and it's a day out for families. And of course, the support categories are so important, and luckily, the Motorsport Games president has basically said that the same thing, that they're trying to get it in to the game. Obviously, they've also said that their main focus is on perfecting the BTCC cars and the handling, which we'll get onto in a bit. But I mean, you've got Carrera Cup, you've got F4, you've got Ginettas, Minis, and I mean, why not? Why not add them? Whether it's you might get one or two of the support categories in the base game, and then as time goes on they'll add them in packs or whatever. Honestly, I would pay for the packs, because why not? You're getting content. And speaking of content, obviously if it's a BTCC game, there's not too much you can do in terms of content. So basically, I think what they need to do, and what they are trying to do, is to expand the capabilities of this game, of what you can do in the game. And I mean, you can't just have the BTCC and the, I don't know, 8 tracks or 9 tracks they have a season or whatever. You can't just have that, and you have to have the support categories as well to expand the overall product of what you're getting in one of these games. So next up is talking about the physics. Now, effectively, it's good news, because it looks like they will have a full-on sim physics engine. And how do we know this? Well, Studio 397 is basically now a part of the Motorsport Games program, I guess you can say. I think that's what it's all about. So effectively, they create rFactor 2, and now rFactor 2 is a Motorsport Games game, I guess. So having rFactor 2 physics will be very good. By the looks of it, it's a good game, and I've never played it. I don't really play PC sim racing games, so for me, being able to have the rFactor engine will be very vital in this game. I've seen, you know, what the modders can do with that game, with the BTCC mods, and if they can get it close, or even better, to what the modders have done, then that would be fantastic, because what I'm seeing with the mods for the British touring cars is they're fantastic. They're pretty realistic, and I can't speak firsthand on that, but having the R Factor 2 physics engine will be very, very good. And another thing I need to mention is that they need to perfect the AI. And look, I'm yet to come across a game that really has perfect AI. There's quite a few games that kind of have good AI, but there's always just issues with them. Project Cars 2, sometimes you can have good battles with them, but most of the time they're just absolutely shocking to drive and race with. And ACC, I have quite a bit of fun with that game, but at the end of the day, British Touring Cars is not like GT3. It's not like open wheelers. It is hard racing, and they're going to need to perfect the AI, otherwise it won't really be the British Touring Cars, will it? They need to have the AI have some aggression about them. We need to have the AI going for lunges down at the final hairpin at Knock Hill. We need them to be unpredictable and very adventurous in what they do. And I tell you what, if they can get the AI right, I think that's definitely going to be a key factor towards this game being successful. And overall, I think if they can get the AI right, it's going to be a brilliant game. But we'll have to wait and see, to be honest. And I mean, it needs to be right. They can't just slack off and have just boring AI. And what I've seen, again, I'm going to go back to R Factor 2, because I was watching some of the mods for British Touring Cars, as I mentioned, and the racing in that, I'm not sure if they have any AI adjustments in terms of AI mods, but the AI, they look very racy and they look decent. And one thing they could adjust is, with those mods, is that drivers don't really bump into each other. They're very, very friendly. They're ballsy, but they're friendly, and that's not something you really want in a British Touring Car game. So if they can have ballsy, aggressive driving, boy, that would be fantastic. And yeah, I think it would be definitely a very vital part of the game. Alright, final point. This is point number 4. The game, it doesn't need to have a progressive career, but that would be very good. So this is again something that kind of Marcus mentioned, and having a progressive career also ties into having support categories. So it kind of speaks for itself, really, doesn't it? You start in minis, you start in whatever, and you go up to Genettas, you go up to Carrera Cup, through F4 or whatever, and you make your way into the British Touring Cars. And if we have like a 10 season career, driver career, and possibly a My Team career, that would be fantastic. And again, going back to an interview which you can actually watch on GT Planet, I'll link it in the description, the president has basically said a My Team is definitely something that would be quite cool, and it's something that he pushed for quite heavily when he was actually with Codemasters, who of course make the F1 game. So I think a My Team is definitely something that they're looking at, and hopefully that's something that can happen. Imagine starting, as I've mentioned on Reddit, starting at the very bottom as a small team based out of a small warehouse, a small workshop in, I don't know, bloody Birmingham. Imagine that. Imagine starting in minis, rising up in a 15 or 10 year career, and making that team a British touring car powerhouse, really. And that would be fantastic, I think. And you can sign drivers, you can sign staff, upgrade your facilities, buy new cars. That would be quite cool. You can create your own car. I think just being able to buy cars would be quite cool. Licensing would be a bit of an issue, maybe just a little bit, but at the end of the day, it would be really, really cool to have a My Team, and overall, if they don't have that, if they just have a driver career, I hope they get it right and make it progressive, so you don't just start in British Touring Cars. But another point is that if a player doesn't want to do a massive, 10 season career and wants to just start in the BTCC, let them do that. They shouldn't lock it so you have to start in minis or F4 or Genettas or whatever. Make it so you can choose your own path, choose sponsors, choose coaches or whatever, choose teams, of course. I think it could be a very good game, and I'm intrigued to see what they do. It should come out early next year, so we're going to have some looks at it later on in the next few months. We should be getting some details hopefully soon. It was announced a few months ago, but it's not as if it's the game's just not going to happen. It's a case of keeping very secretive, and there's definitely some work going on there. Hopefully it arrives on time, and we can have a good game, seeing as it will be probably based on the 2021 season. Let's hope for a good 2021 real life season for the British Touring Cars, and hopefully I can make some content. But this will probably only be a part 1. Part 2 will probably be a thing that comes out in the next few weeks or days or whatever, when I get the time to do it. But I hope you enjoyed your Easter. Stay safe and have fun. Goodbye.